In this video, I attempt to make an entire sculpture out of nothing but a very tacky and tricky to work with epoxy resin that you mix together into what is known as green stuff. Let's get started. This is green stuff, which is weird because it's yellow and blue, which the artist veterans among you will know becomes green, which is why it's called green stuff, because when you pick off equal parts of the yellow and blue and you smush it all together, you get this, which is the green stuff. It's used by a lot of modelers and hobbyists and miniature crafters to fill in gaps or even create entirely unique and new objects or props. But I have never seen a sculpture made entirely of green stuff. Now I'm very excited about this. This is actually a collab with Squidmar Miniatures on YouTube, who's a YouTuber I follow and really enjoys content. So if you're into miniatures or tabletop gaming models, especially the miniature painting element of miniatures, go check out Squidmar Miniatures and subscribe. I am going to create a model made entirely of green stuff and I'm going to send it to Squidmar to paint. This is going to be quite a challenge to do, and he is an astounding painter, so I feel like it has to be justifiable of his time, but I am up for the challenge. It's time to bring out the box. I don't know why I make the sound effect with my mouth, because we can just add that sound effect in post. In fact, let's give this whole opening a load of sound effects. By the way, those of you who didn't catch the video, I made this portable miniature hobby box because miniature painting is now like the thing I love to do in the evenings. And I made this so I can set up and pack up really quick. So go check out the video where I made this. I'll put that in the description as well. And as far as approaching the sculpting goes, I think I have a reasonable amount of experience. I've done a whole bunch of sculptures on this channel in virtual reality or with clay, various clays, polymer clay, monster clay, and I really enjoy the process of sculpting. So in attempting to make a full miniature character, first of all, I'm gonna work at a larger scale. I'll use a base, but I'll use a bigger base, and I'm gonna do a character that's gonna be bigger by comparison simply because I won't be able to get all the nitty gritty details I might like to if I tried to do it to the same scale. I've done a lot of talking and a lot of introduction. I think it's about time I get sculpting. Alright, so to do this effectively, my plan was to break the sculpting process into a few steps. The first being to create a pose and silhouette of the figure so I could give it time to harden and then take time meticulously adding detail to the model on top of a more solidified surface. But to nail the pose and the silhouette, I needed to experiment with some level of flexibility, and green stuff is not the kind of stuff that allows this, so as with most sculpture bases, I built an armature to work from. Using armature wire, I first positioned the legs and then a spine that carried through to a tail. The more I worked, the more I realized I wanted to do something a little more animalistic or demonic. One of the benefits of this, of course, is that if my final sculpture's proportions were a little off or the surface was rough or over-textured, I could just pretend it was always meant to be that way. With a rough wire pose I was happy with in place, it was time to start layering in the green stuff. I also thought it would be cool at this point to raise one of the character's legs to be stepping up or on top of something. I figured I'd leave it to my dear collaborator Squidmar to do something cool with this. And you can see as I add big chunks of green stuff and focus on the silhouette, the figure dips constantly under its own weight. If I didn't have the armature prepared beforehand, not only would I not have been able to fine-tune the dynamics of the pose as I was able to, but even if I did get the pose to a place I was happy with, it would constantly fall out of shape. Fortunately, the model, though a little bit unstable, was mostly able to hold its shape so I could keep building onto that silhouette. I mean, I wasn't really 100% sure on whether the character should be upright and more humanoid in its stance, leaning forward, or even sort of twisting and turning. I settled on something in the middle, sort of leaning forward but also turning sideways indignantly, maybe preparing to strike, giving a mix of animalistic and humanoid proportions, and in the pose dynamic that would make for a really cool badass demon. So after quite a while and a lot of fiddling and messing around, I ended up with this sculpture, which I'm super happy with. I think it might be to my advantage to be able to, while it's malleable, carve in a few anatomical details and break this character up into smaller parts and then work on the details in the individual parts. With that said though, the overall silhouette I'm really happy with. I went over the whole model and trimmed back areas that were a little overfilled, carved in some rudimentary anatomical detail, and then using a fine liner outlined the planned anatomy of the whole model. With the details pre-planned, I sawed and cut off the arms and the head and mounted them on little rods so I could put them aside or work on them separately and without needing to move the whole model around or accidentally bump something I'd just sculpted. Now, it's important to point out that I finished this process off that you're watching on Friday afternoon, which meant that when I got back to work to the model the following Monday, all of the parts were fully hardened. And adding the anatomical details and textures was really easy and well supported because obviously the putty I'd put in was fully hardened at this point. As you can see with the legs, I added little lumps of detail for where the muscles would go and smoothed them all out to look as dynamic and clean as possible. But I knew texture was going to matter with a model intended for painting, so on the topmost areas of the demon, I added a bit of a rough texture. Now, this could be scales, or it could be demonic paws or fur. I didn't really know. Frankly, that depends on how Emil ends up painting him, but I wanted to create a model that could be dynamic on his own before even being painted. This means, of course, as I'm trying to do, creating a variety of textures and surfaces, and I guess it's just an overall dynamic approach. Now, sculpting the head was interesting. Normally when sculpting a character like this, I'd approach it with a sketch or some sort of plan beforehand, but I sort of knew the nature of this green stuff, and also that trying to copy something specific would be way more frustrating than just working in a more improvised way to reach an organic result. So I just moved through sculpting the foundation of the head with a pretty relaxed approach. And I mean, I didn't even want to add too much detail because I figured I could do that later, once the surface area or the bigger chunk of the head, like 90% of the mass that I was focusing on now, would harden, and then I'd have a strong silhouette and hardened surface to work on to add the final details. And once I clipped an opening for the mouth and shaped the lower jaw, I really felt like he was starting to look pretty cool. Started to see the character emerging that he had the potential of being. So not wanting to overwork it, I moved on to build out the claws and the rest of the anatomy. Alright, so there are bound to be a couple of people who might pick up on a little naughty trick that I've been using while sculpting this stuff, and that is that in order to keep the tool I sculpt with nice and moist, I might be wetting it with my tongue as I sculpt. Now, there are reasons for this. Obviously, I could use water, which I had filled up a water cup and kept it by my side to try and do it hygienically, but every time you dip, it puts too much water on the tool, and then you have to manually get rid of the water with like a thing, like a toilet paper. It just slows down the process, and it's not as organic as just going every time you need to just sort of lubricate the tool. There is no way I can make this sound normal, is there? It's a thing people do when miniature painting, I swear to God. Look, this green stuff it's epoxy putty. It's like sticky as hell. It's adhesive. And in order to actually sculpt it with any reasonable amount of finesse or detail, I need to wet my tool, y'all. There's no way to make this sound normal. I guess I've just confessed that I've sent a spit-soaked model overseas to a collaborator. So, can't wait to see what you do, Emil. Finally, with most of the anatomy sculpted and texture added, I glued the arms back into place. I didn't think I'd need to reach under the arms anymore for sculpting, as I'd already done that finicky stuff, and honestly, I just thought the anatomy of the arms would be best sculpted in place with the arms on the body. And I gotta say, even with the arms not properly sculpted or the anatomy not added there, this demon dude was starting to look really cool. So as you can see, the model is starting to really come together, and I would say he's probably about 90% done. There's definitely some definition or detail and refinement to be added, but overall, he's looking really cool. So this is what we're looking at so far, and the main things that I need to finish are the anatomy of the arms, as I mentioned, and then the details of the face. But there are also other places where I could just sort of add detail or character to make this character stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to move forward sculpting the rest of the arms. I'm going to put in the details of the face. I'm going to put some spikes and any other character detail bits I feel like throughout the model. And then I'm also going to bring in and paint on this stuff, which is, as you can see, liquid green stuff. This is a green stuff only challenge, and technically, I mean, that's still green stuff. Basically, the way this works is it's like a sort of putty-ish paint, that by painting that on areas you can sort of control or smooth out gaps, you can fill in or smooth out surfaces. So wherever some of the texture needs a little bit more refinement or control, and obviously it's hardened or is going to be too finicky to sculpt in with the green stuff, that's when the liquid green stuff comes in. Rest at ease, don't worry, I didn't actually send a spit-soaked model to Emil. I soaked a cleaning brush in Pina Clean disinfectant wipes, and I gave the whole thing a good once-over, irrespective of whether it would ruin or not affect my final model, simply because I do have enough respect to not send a spit-soaked model overseas. So, you're welcome, Squidmar. Anyways, there's no graceful way to transition from talking about cleaning up a spit-soaked model to a final epic reveal shot, but let's just give it a go. Final epic reveal shot! You know, it's a good project when I can't help but just let days of tension and work out in a big sigh. But my God, they are usually the projects where I'm most satisfied with the result. This dude here is a bit of a demon. I'm not sure exactly what, I'm not sure what world is meant to fit in. I just needed to use the green stuff and follow where it ended up, because there was no way I could do something refined or mechanical. I mean, this stuff is really tacky, and if I tried to do anything smaller or more detailed, I could, but I would probably lose my sanity in the process. And I think this was certainly a good way to tackle the challenge. I hope you think I did a pretty good job. And it's going to be interesting to see what the character is turned into, because you could use bright and vibrant colors, dark and demonic colors, pastels or blues or reds. Is it icy or is it fiery? There's a lot of directions that this could be taken in, and I can't wait to see what direction it's taken in. Just over a month later, and Emil's finished. Now, I'm not going to spoil this for you, but I do want to check out the final results, which he has sent to me, share a little bit of my reaction, and I think he has a message for me. So let's go check it out. There he is.
Dear Jazza, let me tell you a story all about how my life got turned upside down. I'd like to take a minute. No, this is crap. Okay. Let me introduce to you the incredible Hulk.
Hey!
A brilliant scientist from another time and place.
That looks amazing!
And with that, Jazza, thanks for the challenge.
So good.
I hope you enjoyed the finished piece just as much as I enjoyed painting it.
Wow, okay. Let me just say, I did not expect him to go in the direction that he went in, and it's better than I ever could have imagined. Emil, well done, my friend. Guys, go check out Emil's video where he painted the sculpture that I made in this video. I'll link to it in the card and in the description. Go check out and subscribe to Squidmar. Really fun content there and a really cool guy. Also, massive shout out to Emil's Kickstarter, which just went live. He's producing custom, extremely high quality brushes. Now, I know personally that they are extremely high quality because I've been using them for the last few weeks. I've been using them to practice my lighting effects on this display miniature. It's been so much fun, and it's been all the more fun and effective because I have some amazing tools to work with. These brushes are specifically crafted by Emil for miniature painting, and his Kickstarter also includes 5 carefully crafted busts and sculpts that you can check out as well. Go check it out with a link in the description. And to anyone who's come over to this channel from Emil's channel, welcome. I hope you've enjoyed my little endeavor into sculpting a miniature today. While this channel isn't specifically a miniature channel, it is actually something I love and am passionate about. I did a video last week with Miniac, and it's a hobby I'm enjoying a lot in my personal time, so you'll certainly see it in my content occasionally as well. But overall, the content on this channel is about art, creativity, and having fun with it. I hope you've had fun with me here today. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more fun with art and creativity. And hit the notifications bell, because though I didn't do it in this video because I started recording it a month ago, I'm hiding gift codes in videos and doing occasional giveaways as well. So the sooner you get in the video, the better chance you have at winning some goodies or finding some goodies. I'm going to put a couple of videos over there, the one Emil made as part of this collab and the one where I made my hobby box, which I'm sure if you enjoyed this video, you'll enjoy that video. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.